Okay, welcome to Boundaries and Banter. We are your hosts, Taryn and Michela.
We'll just jump right into it. Mm-hmm. We come from really similar backgrounds and just so happen to have married brothers.
Brothers who come from a very big family.
Where boundaries are non-existent.
And just for some reference, Michela and I are both from South Africa. We were both born there and immigrated to America. And our husbands belong to a very Sephardic family, originally from Egyptian and Iraqi descent. Yeah.
Our mother-in-law's Iraqi, but both very similar backgrounds.
So we kind of were thrust into a completely new world and had very similar experiences. And
I would say similar but different. Yeah. I met my husband, Ellie, September of 2021. I got engaged to him January of 2022 and was engaged a few months later in June, and then found out I was pregnant like a month after my wedding. So I had no time to establish any boundaries.
Well, you guys met, got engaged, got married, and had a kid all within 2 years?
A year.
Not 1 year. That's impossible. What do you mean?
Like our year of being married, I had a kid before that.
So like from first date to childbirth, 2 years. No?
Childbirth was March of 2023. I met him September of 2021. So like I guess a year
pretty
and a
crazy.
half. Yeah, crazy.
So you said yes to the ring without really knowing what you were saying yes to entirely.
I mean, I knew I loved him, and like we had the same values and like wanted to raise our family the same and wanted the same things. But you know, I think this is true for anyone. When you're marrying into a family, everyone's on their best behavior. You don't know the true person until it really comes out. Like it takes time. So
No. You guys got married so quickly that you didn't take the time to see.
We didn't take the time. I didn't have any time to establish boundaries.
Because I saw bad behavior pretty early on. Yeah, I wasn't engaged.
Okay, so why don't you say a little bit of your story and how long you guys dated before you got married?
Okay. So we met, we've known each other. We met through our exes like 6 years ago, but I didn't remember ever meeting him or who he was, but he was obsessed with me and stalked me in a lot of ways. In fact, you and I were even friends.
Yeah, we were.
Michela and I knew each other before she even met her husband, before I met my husband.
We were friendly.
We were in the LA circle of friends, and we would bump into each other, you know, doing party gal things. And then she married my now husband's brother, and I would run into her and she would say, I'd really want to set you up with my brother-in-law. And I'd be like, yeah. And then I just never.
I would always say like, you got the green light, go text her. And then he would like 2 days later be like, she doesn't respond to me. I don't know what's going on.
I never responded to him to anything. Anyway, one thing led to another. We started dating, and after like literally 10 days of dating, he was like, I'm in love with you and I'm going to marry you. And here we are married. But we were dating for we're both 30. He's 31, I'm 30. So we were dating for 6 months, and then we got engaged. It didn't feel fast because we knew that.
But you had the time to see.
I had the time. Right. So after we got engaged, we had about a year and 3 month engagement. So we were together. We just got married last month. We were together almost 2 years.
Before getting married.
Before the day of our wedding. Yes.
Which I think makes a difference. And
Huge.
I have to say, like, you and I are really, really lucky that we have each other, that we come from such similar backgrounds, because most people don't have this. And like, we've really became close at our sister-in-law's wedding, our husband's sister's wedding, when everyone was taking family photos. And
you waited with me. I was the last for hair and makeup, and everyone left me in the dust except for you.
So me and my daughter, we were with you.
Yeah.
And then we were in like one family photo. So,
and I guess that's what brings us to this podcast. Why did we create this podcast? Why do we feel like this is something that people might want? Why are we not just two more girls talking on the internet?
I think that everyone goes through in-law struggles, whether it's a daughter-in-law and mother-in-law, daughter-in-law and father-in-law, or son-in-law with his in-laws. I think that everyone goes through some sort of struggle with it.
I also think the biggest thing here and our biggest purpose is like, you have your page 5. You always say to me, you have your page 5. I have my page 5. How do we make a new page 5? How do we bridge this?
How do we bridge the gap?
The gap where I come from such a different background. You come from such a different background. What do we want to keep? What do we want to throw out? How do we establish boundaries now that we've had this new nuclear family, right? Because you got married, your nuclear family is now your husband or your wife or whatever it be, and then your children or whatever. Like that's your nucleus, the partner you choose to spend your life with. And it no longer is your parents. You're still part of your parents' nucleus.
Well, of course, but I think part of the problem is that in-laws feel like, oh my God, my kids are being taken away from me. They don't want me anymore, when that's really not the case. Like, we set boundaries because we want a healthy relationship. That's the point.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's a healthy mindset to think my kid is getting married or starting their life
and they've left me behind.
They've left me.
But I think that that's the biggest issue. I think that's what people are going through. I think it always comes down to boundaries.
Yeah.
What was your experience meeting our in-laws for the first time?
So I walked into their house. I brought flowers. It was Shabbat and we were going to another family's Shabbat dinner. They were very sweet, like right off the bat, welcoming, sweet, very warm. And then we very quickly just introductions, that kind of thing. Went to their cousin Shabbat dinner with about 35 people. I guess that was considered a small dinner for them. I was so overwhelmed. I mean, I was sweating. It was winter.
Big family.
I was sweating. I was like, oh, and they were speaking Hebrew for the most part. And I can understand. I mean, at this point, I'm much more fluent, but I could understand some things. But for the most part, I was like, I don't know what the fuck these people are talking about. And no one's talking to me and I'm confused.
Kind of like a fish out of water, just a little bit.
Yeah. And then there was just one point where his mom put her, and we didn't know each other. She put her hand on my hand, which was on my lap. And I kind of felt like I could drop into the moment and I felt more at ease. And I felt like she did that to make me, it was in this unspoken thing that she just did this thing to make me feel more at ease. And I really appreciated that. And then from that point on, I kind of don't ever remember. It was like I always knew them. Do you know what I mean? I remember the first time I met them. And then after that, it was I was inundated. I knew them.
They're extremely warm people. They are. They're warm and welcoming.
Once you know them, you've met them. It doesn't matter who you are or how you are. You're part of it.
They make you feel at home.
Yeah. What about you?
So this was, as I said, we met in September of 2021. And by October, we were official dating and in love and the whole 9 yards. So I was also invited to Shabbat dinner. And it was my husband's sister's birthday. And there were probably 50 or 60 people there. And I could not believe
Wait, were you told?
Well, yeah, I was told it was going to be a big Shabbat and his parents had invited me early so that I could get to know them, which was really sweet. And that his mom was so warm and welcoming and tried to do everything that she could to make me feel at home and included, even though she was hosting 1,000,000,001 people, which later on I came to realize this is normal for them. This is
oh yeah,
me or you hosting 2 people at home. Her normal is cooking for 50, 60 people. She's just like that.
Yeah.
So
well, how was it?
It was great. I mean, she was very, very sweet. I was really nervous. I remember my husband said to me, it's really casual, wear jeans. And I showed up in leather pants and a blazer. So I was I'm not going to wear jeans the first time I meet your parents. I want to look a little bit more
zhuzhed up.
Exactly.
You wanted to zhuzh?
And when I got there, I was why the hell am I wearing leather pants and a blazer? This is so embarrassing. But anyways, they were always warm and welcoming and sweet. And from then on, as you said, it was just I knew them.
Right.
So I think the most important thing for us is to strengthen the relationship we have with our husbands and our immediate family, which is for me, my husband and my kids. But we still want that relationship with our in-laws. And I think it's really hard for them to see that we're not trying to X them out. We want boundaries.
Boundaries are sexy.
And that's the main thing. Boundaries are
Boundaries
sexy.
are so sexy.
That's what we want. That's what we want.
It's I'm creating this boundary so that I can continue having you in my life. I'm creating this boundary so that we can work towards having a positive, healthy relationship. I'm not the minute I don't give a shit to create boundaries and I'm
That's when you're done.
That's when you're done. There's no relationship.
That's when you're done. Yeah.
For the boundaries.
Well, I think like my biggest conflict with my in-laws, our in-laws, has been the fact that I want boundaries. And they're like, what do you mean boundaries? Like boundaries.
No, your biggest conflict is that you didn't start them soon enough.
And a therapist once told me you can go from really tight boundaries and like loosen up a little. But what I have is like a huge problem, and it's very, very difficult to go from no boundaries to now having some boundaries.
I think it was a very big adjustment for him. I think he was very used to being like golden boy, first child, doing anything that would make his parents happy, very, feeling responsible for like their emotional status.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could say that.
Yeah. And I think so when he married someone and you were like, well, no, now it's our life and these are the boundaries I want. It was very hard for him to step into role of like leader and take your boundaries and implement them on behalf of both of you as his own. So,
well, I think also like the kind of family that I come from versus his, like they're on opposite ends. There's not like, and we're just trying to meet in the middle a little bit. Cause like his family is so far on like, we have zero boundaries. We're so go with the flow. And like my family's more like, you have to have a plan. Like, what is this plan? What is that plan? And like, we just kind of want to be in the middle. And I think it's been really hard for him to even get to that middle part, which I think is normal. I think that's normal for anyone.
Do you want to get to the middle? What do you want to compromise
a
about?
Little more. I want to be a little more on this side than on that side. Cause I just don't believe in like, everything will be, like it doesn't work. And the whole thing with their family is they're so enmeshed. I'll just ask you this, like, and we'll get to it a little bit later in the episode, but what have your highs and lows been marrying into this family?
Well, I mean, my high is definitely my relationship with my husband. Like he's my soulmate. I'm so I couldn't have imagined, no matter what the struggles have been, like a greater love for myself. I feel like extraordinarily blessed to be with somebody who cherishes me for me so much. What have my lows been? I think that I personally, from my perspective, do not think that he necessarily got a lot of the things that kids need when he was growing up. And I think that they did the best that they could. And I'm not criticizing their parenting, but I think that he didn't get a lot of things. And the consequences of that have very much shown in our relationship.
Do you think that they see that now?
No. I don't think that they ever will. I don't think that's the point of any of this. I don't think the point, and that's where you and I differ, like, and how we're different people. Like my point was never let me shove this in their face until they finally understand, hey, you didn't give your son X, Y, and Z, and now he struggles with X, Y, and Z because they're never going to get it.
I mean, as much as you and I are similar and like experience similar things with our in-laws, we're both so different because you could care less. And I'm like, let me show you why what you did was wrong. Like, let me explain it to you. Let me shove it in your face. And it hasn't worked for me.
Well, I tried a couple times and it was very much made clear that like, oh no, I did everything right and I raised him right and everything was perfect. And then from that point on, I'm like,
they could do no wrong.
Yeah, let me just work on helping my husband become the person that he really wants to be, despite not having received a lot of the things that he should have received, because he has it in him.
Well, I can say like, since you guys have been together, he's like a completely different person for the better.
Thank you so much.
I love him. So
I'm biased. Women are amazing. Yeah. Okay. What about you? Your
my
highs and lows?
Have obviously been my kids and my husband. I mean, he's like amazing.
You have 2 kids.
I have 2 kids. I have a 2.5-year-old and a 5-month-old. And my husband is amazing. He's so sweet. I had a really, really hard pregnancy with our second. And he was like always there to cook dinners and do what he needed to do to like handle the house, plus working because I was like struggling so much. So he's just amazing.
Yeah.
He's the best guy ever. My lows have been that like, everyone is up your ass and wants to know everything that you're doing. Like they want to know the last time you went to the bathroom. And if you don't tell them, like you're in the wrong. Like God help you. So I think my lows have been the fact that there's just zero boundaries. And some of our fights have like with me and his parents have been, you guys, like, I need my space. I need my boundaries. And them responding, there's no such thing as boundaries in family.
I can't believe it even got to the point where you were directly having fights with them about it. Like, I could never imagine myself.
That's why, I mean, there have been a few dinners that you and I are both there together, and you can see I'm about to say something, and you kick me under the table, and you're like, bite your tongue.
Because why?
I think for me, I still am in that place where I'm like, let me show you guys that, like, you're wrong.
Well,
I'm
what
right.
are you getting?
You're wrong. I'm getting nothing.
You're getting nothing.
So now I've just kind of taken a step back.
You've changed a lot. You've done really.
I mean, thank God you and I have each other, because I can't imagine the people out there that don't have a sister-in-law or someone in the family that they can
some sort of outlet,
on.
like beyond someone that they can just vent to, but someone who's actually experiencing it with
the
them.
same thing, yeah.
It can be a very isolating experience. And I think even when I first joined the family, it was probably really isolating for you, because I was hearing very different things about how you were and who you were. And
it was really isolating because you and I knew each other. And I tried to tell you, I'm like, okay, like, this is what, like, you had asked me, you're like, what has your experience been? And I told you, and you were like, this girl's probably crazy.
Yeah. Well, at first I was like, oh, okay. And then everyone was telling me a different thing and like telling and kind of villainizing you. I don't think that they were trying to villainize you, and they weren't saying anything outwardly offensive.
But now looking back, don't you think that's crazy to like talk shit on your daughter-in-law?
I think it's like they wrote a script for you. They wrote you into existence, not even based on who you actually are. And so I feel like a lot of people, like, it's so sad that a lot of people actually don't get to experience you, because you're so wonderful and you're such a good mom. You're such a good friend.
Well, no one really knows me in the family because they've just looked at this picture that's been painted of me, and they're like, we don't like her. We don't want to get to know her.
Yeah. Like, she wants to sleep train her kids. Like, what a bitch. Which is like crazy. But I thought that too. I was like, oh my God, look, she's so intense. She's doing all of these things.
Well, I think they think like she wants to sleep train. That means she doesn't want us around the kids.
She hates us. We really want to give people an outlet because we have each other and people don't have each other. And so that's what this is.
We want to be here for everyone.
We want to create a community of in-laws. Okay, so we are going to do story of the day. Right now, we are pulling stories from Reddit threads that are anonymous, but we are actually going to have all of our subscribers and listeners
send in their stories to us.
Yeah, to our email, so that we can have a little bit more personal outreach to whoever's watching this, and we can hopefully provide you any guidance or help.
It'll always be anonymous too, so you don't have to worry about that. We won't say who you are.
But let's get into it. How do you interact with your in-laws while having postpartum anxiety? You can relate to this.
I can.
Okay.
I'll give you my 2 cents when you're done with the story.
Okay. I'm currently 9 months postpartum. I have no one to talk to about this because I'd hate to taint their names or disrespect my husband by talking about his family, ... So I'll be anonymous. I've been dealing with postpartum anxiety on and off since giving birth. I meet with a therapist consistently too. However, I've been struggling the most with my in-laws. It would be safe to say there's tension growing since before I was even pregnant. I'm very, very close with my mom, and I was also pretty close to my mother-in-law up until I gave birth. However, there's been an unsaid rift between my mother-in-law and my mom since I got married. I think that she said this wrong. I'll keep going. Mother-in-law. Okay, I see. Mother-in-law compares how many of my mom's friends were invited to my bridal shower, and mother-in-law was humiliated I didn't invite her friends to the shower. Parentheses, I only invited people I knew, and I grew up with many of my mom's friends like aunts. I thought it was okay because I invited my husband's extended family, so she wasn't alone whatsoever. It became such an issue that she ended up monopolizing 1/3 of our wedding guests with family we hardly even knew because of how deeply hurt she was. She got past it, and I thought everything was fine after the wedding, but I was hurt still, and their family doesn't talk about feelings like that. So I was left feeling unresolved. Husband and I both agreed that we should have addressed it, but we were young and didn't want to be disrespectful to our parents. Big mistake. Big mistake, Michela.
Trust me, I'm paying for it now.
Fast forward to being married, and my husband's little sister would come over to hang out. She would make comments to family members saying that if I were ever pregnant and I told my mom before telling her, that she'd be upset and there'd be a problem. Hello? That's my mom who birthed me. I get to choose who I tell. There were some red flags from both in-laws, like, I can't wait to take baby for car rides in our new car, or I can't wait to make her a bottle, or just leave her here with me so you can rest. That was making me feel uncomfortable, especially because she let her mother take care of her children a surprising amount. My husband was even potty trained by his grandma, so I think my mother-in-law was expecting to play that role in my children's life. Once I gave birth, I struggled with postpartum anxiety and being apart from my daughter. I would be feeling drained after about an hour of social interaction or having people stop by unannounced. Even after saying numerous times, I don't mind them coming over, but just let me or my husband know a few days ahead of time so it lined up with his work schedule, parentheses, that's incredibly stressful and demanding aside from all baby blues. They didn't. They'd be in the neighborhood and say they were a minute away and asked to come in. I'm unshowered, topless, airing my chapped nipples out, and I, of course, said it's not a good time, and to ask ahead of time. I held my ground, and they told my husband that they were hurt. They got offended, saying they're family, and that's not how family works. Husband backed me up, and they weren't happy with me. They would see her every week or 2 weeks. They'd make comments like, I shouldn't have to wait 2 weeks to see my own granddaughter. We decided to move an hour away from our family to an area we've been talking about for years, and she seemed so happy for us to get a home, mother-in-law. When we visited them while we were in escrow, she picked my daughter up and starts crying, saying she's never going to see her. And I'm there feeling my anxiety more than ever. She stopped calling me, stopped texting. They don't talk to me when I see them, and they unfollowed me on social media. Ooh. Drama. It's so awkward. And I know they're mad at me for not being the same as I used to be or meeting their expectations. The way they talk about their other daughter-in-law makes it even more evident. They talk the same about me. I guess they should talk the other daughter-in-law. I didn't get that. I tried talking to them about my postpartum anxiety with not much of a response. But at the end of the day, all they care about is the fact that they don't see their granddaughter as much as they thought they would. Now in a month, I'm supposed to sit at a table and eat turkey with them. And that seems like the most daunting thing to possibly do.
I'm just thinking back to like the beginning of the story when she said that her in-laws maybe had expectations because her husband was potty trained by his grandma. And I went through something very, very, very similar. So when I had my daughter, which was in 2023, she's now 2.5, my in-laws really, really, really wanted to be a part of everything. And I wanted that too. I really wanted them to be a big part of her life. I don't think a child can ever have too much love. So I said, let's have an open door policy. You guys want to come whenever you want. Just let me know that you're on the way. Okay. I thought that
Genius.
I thought that was a really sweet, great thing to do. Okay. It was.
Girl.
Let me just tell you something. It wasn't good enough. Okay. So I was getting bashed that I wasn't bringing my newborn over to their house. Like, keep in mind, we lived like 30 minutes away. It was when I lived in the city. So like I was getting so much backlash that I wouldn't bring the baby over there. My husband was like totally in the middle of it. It was so uncomfortable. And I remember at the time I was working, I still had a full-time job. And I would get comments from my father-in-law, like, bring the baby over to our house and you go to work and then pick her up later on in the day. And I was like, did your wife recently start lactating and I didn't know about it, that she can breastfeed our child? Like, it was just wild, like the comments that were made, okay? It was really not normal. And at the time I didn't have you. I had no one to talk to about it. Like you know what? I remember I didn't take maternity leave. I went to my parents' house and they lived 2 hours away. At the time, I went there and my mom helped me a little bit with the baby, okay? On the weekend, my husband came. He came to be with us or whatever. I was there for a total of 10 days.
Because during the work week, he was working.
During the work week, he was working. I didn't have full-time help yet. Like, I was thrown into this. Like, I got married, pregnant. Like, it was really, really quick. I didn't know what I was doing. So I needed my mom.
You wanted your mom.
I needed my mom. I needed the help. Yeah. So I went to San Diego and I was getting comments like, maybe we'll see the baby in 2 years. Like really mean comments on like a full family chat. Okay. Like to the point that my parents' friends came over and like my mom's friend like knew about what was going on and she started crying. Like she was like heartbroken for me. It was really, really, really sad. And
not to mention all the hormones.
I can't explain the hormones. I literally can't explain it.
And I don't even know because I'm not a mom, but our story, obviously, you know, she describes her having postpartum anxiety. I know that you had it with your second.
I did. With my first, I didn't really know what I was experiencing. I was like confused.
Looking back on it, do you think it was a little bit of postpartum anxiety?
I think it was, and I think it's normal. I think it's really normal to have postpartum anxiety, and you just, all you want from people around you is support.
But how scary is it that you couldn't even recognize what you were feeling? So it's not like you could even diagnose like, oh, this was postpartum anxiety. Like you must have been so emotional, so hormonal.
And I have to say, like now that I know more about it, when you exclusively breastfeed, which I did, you have a hormone, I guess. I don't even know if this is right. People might come after me for this, but called prolactin.
Okay.
And prolactin, like it either increases or it's suppressed, one or the other when you breastfeed. And whatever it is, like it makes you irritable, it makes you upset, it makes you angry. So like you have a short fuse. And I was getting zero compassion about it. And with my second, like a similar situation repeated. And my father-in-law FaceTimed me and was like, oh, wow, you seem great now. I guess you just go crazy after you have kids. And I was like, what kind of a comment is that? I'm 6 weeks postpartum. What do you want from me? Like, I'm still in diapers. I'm still like not myself. Like, you guys can be a little nicer to me. Like, you guys can offer to like bring me dinner, put my toddler to sleep. Like, there's a lot that they could have done. Thank God after the first, like things really took a turn and I became close with my in-laws. But the whole thing repeated second time round, and here we are on our podcast.
Well,
talking about what we could have done wrong to prevent this.
Okay, so like let's say you're in the situation that this story girl, whatever, anonymous person that I just read was in, and and she was literally just blocked on social media.
Can I tell you really like what I would do?
Would you go to Thanksgiving?
No, I wouldn't go. I would say literally fuck your parents. I'm not going anywhere near them until a grandparent should not have a relationship with a grandchild unless they can respect the mother and the father. And I'll tell you this, if my parents were ever rude to my husband, there is no way on God's green earth that I would let them around my kids because they need to respect his father.
Hold on.
They can say whatever they want to say behind his back to themselves and keep it to themselves. But in front of me, and in front of the world and everyone else, like you better respect him.
100%.
The father of my children.
I hope that whoever this was and wherever
didn't go to Thanksgiving.
I really fucking hope they didn't go to Thanksgiving.
Me too. I would not go.
I would go to Thanksgiving and I would take the turkey and then I would leave. So I don't have to cook a turkey.
I will tell you, I think it takes a minute though to like really grow backbone. Maybe not for someone like you, but for some people, like for me, it took me a minute to grow backbone. Because I think in the beginning, if it was like the beginning of my marriage, I would have been like, okay, like I'll go to Thanksgiving. Like, will you just make sure that no one's mean to me?
Oh, really?
But like today, I would be like, fuck you and your Thanksgiving.
Really?
Yeah.
In the beginning, I would have been like, fuck you and your Thanksgiving. But listen, that doesn't come overnight. I had to do a lot of work to get to this place of like time. Emotional detachment to this kind of behavior.
Well, anyways, we want you guys to share your personal stories.
We want to help you.
We want to help you.
We want to help you not go to that Thanksgiving.
Before we end today's episode,
you want to do a lightning round?
We're going to do a little lightning round of our favorite game, Would You Rather? And these ones are more relatable to our episode, but okay.
I'll think. No, you go and I'll think.
Okay. Would you rather your breastfeeding breasts leak at the dinner table and have your father-in-law notice and say, oh dear, you have to pump? Or have your in-laws look after your kids for a weekend and not follow a single rule you gave? I know you don't have kids, but you can still answer.
It's hard for me because I don't have kids, but I think I'd probably do the oh dear, you have to pump.
Yeah, I would rather that.
Would you rather that too?
I would rather that too, for
because
sure.
honestly, it would be like, you're such a fucking sicko that you just said that to me.
Why are you looking at my
way to show your cards, bro? Like, why are you looking at my like leaking boobs? Like, whisper this to your wife like a normal person.
I think I would definitely rather have the leaking boobs.
Oh dear.
The rules are really important.
The rules are really important.
See when you have kids one day, like
No.
the rules, the timing, the schedules, like everything is really important. Okay, go ahead on the next one.
Okay, next.
Would you rather your mother-in-law wear a white wedding dress to your wedding, or on your first date with your husband walk into a restaurant and everyone is there you've ever dated and slept with?
So like either my mother-in-law is wearing a wedding dress to my wedding, or on my first date with my now husband, I walk into a restaurant and everyone in the restaurant is someone I've either
dated or slept with. Yeah.
Wedding dress.
I agree.
My husband doesn't have to know that.
I agree.
I'm so awkward. If I was in that situation, do you know how awkward I would be?
So I think like
You would be funny about it. I'd be fucking awkward.
I guess I would be funny. I would probably sit there and tell him stories about each person. So I think the core message of these would you rathers in our story is that boundaries are really, really important and everyone needs them.
And you're
even
not
if
alone.
you think you don't, you're not alone.
You're not alone. And it gets better if you
have someone. Find your person. And your person should be your husband. We just got lucky. We got a bonus.
We got a bonus.
We got each other. That's a bonus.
Honestly, sometimes Michela and I are like, we could have just married each other and like really lived a really happy life.
We joked about that before your wedding. I was like, should I just wear my wedding dress? And like, we'll marry each other.
And I was like, honestly, they might be happy about it. They might be like, we got our sons back.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Next time, guys. Thank you.